He laughed at me for being a Queen fan, ripped us off for months, and thought he'd never pay the price. But when a fake letter, signed by an AIDS foundation, arrived at his house addressed to him, everything fell apart. His mom screamed. His dad exploded. And that's when I knew justice had been served. If you've ever been screwed over by someone you trusted or had your kindness taken for granted, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in, because today's story is about betrayal, humiliation, and one of the most creative, devastating teenage revenges I've ever pulled off. Back in the 90s, long before Steam libraries or torrents, getting your hands on a new PC game was work. There was no internet where I lived, and local game stores, forget it. They barely carried anything. So me and my best friend had this little system going. We ordered games from overseas, real physical copies, expensive but worth it. And when we got them, we'd trade. Sometimes even copy the discs, protection, and all. It made our little hobby manageable. And then he joined our class. Let's call him Jason. Jason was the new kid. He had the smug aura around him. The kind of guy who tries to be everyone's friend while acting like he's better than all of us. But what really got our attention was this. His uncle had a massive collection of PC games. Stuff we dreamed of playing. Doom 2, Monkey Island, Settlers, you name it. We were excited. Like, stupid excited. So we did what we thought any gamer friends would do. We offered a trade. We gave Jason some of our best original discs to copy. You know, just so we could all expand our libraries and geek out together. What we got in return? Nothing. Or worse than nothing. Floppy disks that didn't even work. Files corrupted. Disks missing copy protection entirely. Some of our games came back with scratches and torn boxes, like they'd been through a war zone. And it didn't just happen once. It happened over and over. Until eventually, after months, we looked at each other and realized we hadn't gotten a single working game from him. But he now had every single one of ours. We'd been scammed, lied to, used. And the worst part, he laughed about it. Now here's where it gets personal. I've always been a huge fan of Queen. Still am. Their music was more than just songs. It was power, energy, vulnerability. And of course, that meant being a fan of Freddie Mercury. Jason thought that was hilarious. He'd mock me in front of everyone, calling Freddie a gay freak, cracking jokes about listening to gay music, and sneering like he was so superior. And look, I was a teenager. I didn't always have the sharpest comebacks, but that stuff hurt. He twisted the knife, not just with the games, but by turning something I loved into a punchline. It wasn't just teasing. It was calculated, cruel. Jason came from a very conservative family. His mom was ultra-religious, borderline fanatical, and his dad was strict, cold, and had zero tolerance for anything different. You could just feel it in their presence, like if you slipped up even slightly, they'd crush you, and that gave us an idea. Now, if you remember the 90s, you'll remember this. The AIDS crisis was still everywhere. Schools had whole units on it. Public campaigns, flyers, commercials. And especially after Freddie Mercury died in 1991, it was front-page news. So when our school attended this big AIDS awareness event hosted by a foundation, something clicked. At the end of the event, we were all handed flyers. Educational stuff about safe sex, homosexuality, coming out, and yes, condoms, branded with the foundation's logo. Me and my friend, we grabbed extra. Not because we needed them, but because we suddenly knew exactly how we were going to make Jason pay. Now, my family was one of the very few that had an inkjet printer back then. It was slow, loud, and smelled like melted plastic, but it got the job done. We spent an entire afternoon crafting the perfect letter. Header, logo, formatting, down to the exact phrasing you'd expect from an actual AIDS foundation. It read, "Dear Jason, thank you for your letter. We understand that it can be difficult to open up about your sexuality, especially in a conservative environment. Please know that you're not alone. Enclosed, you'll find information about HIV prevention, understanding your identity, and safe sexual practices. We hope these resources help answer the questions you mentioned. Stay strong and remember, you are valid. With support, the AIDS Awareness Foundation. We printed it, folded it, slipped in all the flyers and condoms. And then we addressed it. Not to Jason, but Mr. Jensen, his father. It was mailed on a Wednesday, arrived Friday, and by Monday, Jason was gone. Didn't show up to school. No texts, no calls. Rumors started flying by lunch. One girl said she saw Jason's mom crying outside the school office. Another kid said he'd been grounded for weeks. Someone else overheard that his dad yelled at him for being gay and lying to the family. We just sat there, silent, smiling. I remember feeling my heart race every time someone brought it up, wondering if we'd gone too far. But at the same time, it felt like justice. Sweet, poetic, unexpected justice. The guy who stole our games, mocked us, humiliated me for being a Queen fan. He finally got knocked off his pedestal. Eventually, Jason returned to school, pale, quiet, humiliated. And he knew, at first, he thought the letter was real, that someone had outed him, that the foundation had actually contacted him. But then we got cocky. We started asking little questions. Hey, man, you ever get any weird mail lately? He put the pieces together, fast. And when we confessed, it wasn't to him. It was to the principal, because his parents found out. And suddenly, there we were, two 15-year-olds sitting across from the school principal with Jason, his angry father, and his tear-streaked mother staring us down. We explained every single detail, and honestly, it was worth it. Jason never recovered his social clout. People whispered about him. His parents never trusted him again. He wasn't grounded. He was locked down. And me? I felt like I finally had power. He couldn't mock me anymore. Couldn't touch my stuff. Couldn't twist my love for music into an insult. We didn't just prank him. We shattered his armor. It wasn't just revenge. It was balance restored. Looking back, yeah, we were kids. And it was petty. And maybe even cruel. But when someone uses trust as a weapon, sometimes the only way to fight back is with a message they'll never forget. Karma doesn't always knock. Sometimes it mails a letter.